And just like that is that time of year again. The women's national championship tournament is happening as of now. And always this time of year, we always do our bracket challenge to the best of our knowledge, which is very, very high. It's your boy G Swizz as a host. Down by the bottom screen, we got Joe Worsley. And up in the top left, we got the Jake Myers, the leading 3 analysts in women's volleyball. And if you were to dispute that, you were just simply incorrect. We have 1, the most knowledge, 2, the most experience, and 3, the most watch time out of any of the analysts out there. And I can guarantee you that. We have a combined... Jake, how many games have you watched this year?
I don't know, about 3,000.
No, but actually, how many games have you watched?
3,000. 7.
7. Joe, how many games have you watched?
I was going to say over under like 6.5.
6.5?
5 or 7.
And I have... All right, we're going to go 6.5. Joe's watched half a game. So that's 13.5 combined with my 0. We have 13.5 games accumulated watched throughout the 3 of us. That is right. We are the leading analysts. And we know exactly what's going on in this tournament, which is why we're going to break you the news. We're going to give you our predictions. Usually what we do with the bracket challenges, we usually go one by one each round, and we do 2 videos, or it take forever, right? And that was very, very entertaining because we got to see the nooks and crannies, little corners of the bracket that maybe no one would have seen, and really dive into that side of it. But it did take a lot, and we want to give you the most efficient information possible because, like I said, we do have a lot of information that we can give to you guys. We want to do that in a very, very timely manner. With that being said, so today what we're going to be doing is we are going to be interviewing a lot of the top players in the nation on the top teams. We're going to be interviewing them, interviewing why. Why do you win the national championship? What makes you special? What makes you click? And from those answers, we're going to be thinking to ourselves with the information that we have already. And, of course, we have the Emily Ehman coming on as well, who is a highly touted analyst herself. Gain respect game, if you will. And we will then take all that information, and we will all be selecting our top 4 and then our championship and then our winners. And that way we can get straight to the juicy, meaty part. And then if there's any maybe upsets that we see upcoming, then we will maybe, share that with you. What round we see.
The Citadel is in the tournament this year again. So
ooh, if you've seen our last year's video, you know what we're talking about. So that way we can just get straight to it and give you the information. And that way it'll just get right to yours. Now, with that being said, we also want to, before we interview these lovely guests, which do include the Lexi Rodriguez from Nebraska University, the Kendall Kipp from Stanford University, the Growm, Kentucky University, the Anna DeBeer, Louisville University, the Olivia Babcock, Pittsburgh University, and of course, like I said, Emily Ehman. What we want to do first is offer you guys a chance to enter your own brackets. We have our own Addison Bracket Challenge. By the time this video comes out, it will be live. The link will be in the bio. You have until the first match to complete that challenge. And if you get, is it a perfect score or the highest score, Joe?
Highest score.
The highest
A
score.
perfect score will never happen.
Yeah. The highest score, the winner for the highest score gets the full Addison package. That includes what I have on myself, the OOS camo sweatshirt. Jake, move that mic aside really quick. Let them see your OOS college tee here. Little heather gray, a little orange action. Thank you very much with Addison Volleyball on it. And then we got at OOS to the moon, Joe. Can you show them OOS to the moon really, really quick? Boom. Show them the back, too, while you're at it. And you see on that, look at that beautiful, beautiful design. And, Joe, can you give a quick shout-out to the pajamas out there? Our biggest seller right now. Look at that. Oh, my God. There we go. Jake, show them it, too. There we go. If you see this video and you saw what I just saw and you don't, 1, at least attempt the bracket challenge to get all of these. And 2, if you don't win, purchase one of these beautiful items. You're missing out, my friend. Now, with that also being said, we also have the butt dig T-shirt that's also going to be available in that. The graphic, our second, I think, biggest seller. Like I always say, got to pay homage to what got you here. And then with that being said, boys, let's get in these interviews. Let's get in this bracket challenge. Make sure, again, at the end of this video, you click subscribe and then also enter the bracket challenge. It's free. Got nothing to lose, and you can win some sick merch out of it.
Let's analyze, boys.
Once you sign that dotted line, how quickly did everything move for you? went on to coach at Loyola, Cincinnati. Now both of them undefeated 18-0. So much good is happening before this game.
We are here with Emily Ehman. Thanks for hopping on.
Very happy to be here. Happy to break down some bracketology for you guys.
Ma'am. So Emily is a 4-year libero at Northwestern, and she currently works for the Big Ten Network as the primary gaming studio analyst, as well as working as a sideline reporter and calling games for ESPN and Volleyball World. Thanks for hopping on.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thanks.
Yeah, so for you is kind of looking at the bracket yesterday getting released. Rank each side of the bracket in terms of how hard it is, what the most difficult side is, and yeah, kind of take me through that.
Yeah, it's funny, upon first look at the bracket, this has changed so much in my mind of like which quads are the hardest, maybe the hardest to get out of, or just some teams that might upset people. So, all right, if we're ranking them from, let's go maybe easiest to hardest, I would probably say the easiest is potentially Nebraska's, the upper left. Obviously, you have Nebraska in there, but I'm more thinking of it as for some of these top teams to actually get out, they probably have one of the easiest paths. They're probably going to get out of that first weekend pretty easy. I think Kentucky, the 2 seeds, also going to get out pretty easy. Their toughest test, maybe being a team like Baylor. But then you have a little chunk in the middle where you have Georgia Tech, who might upset Florida, probably in my mind, will upset Florida. And then in that middle chunk too, you have Arkansas and Florida State. Florida State might get tested with TCU, but that's probably the easiest quadrant for me. The next easiest, I would say, is Stanford. So it's that bottom right quadrant. And now there's a lot of question marks, I think, in this one. There are teams that could definitely upset people. You have a team like Georgia, who I think is one of the teams that could make it potentially to that Sweet 16 or even an Elite 8 berth with how they're playing right now. But I do think, Stanford is going to get out pretty easily. I think Texas is going to get out of their region pretty easily. It's all Texas teams up there too that they're decently familiar with, and some mid-majors that might make it easier for them to get out. They do open up a Texas A&M, which is not an easy match, but I think Texas will roll through them pretty easily. But then you have a clump where you got BYU, Georgia, and Arizona State. Honestly, anyone could get out of that. So you could see some upsets there. Tennessee could get tested by Western Kentucky, but Tennessee will probably get out of that. So I don't think you would see too many there. And then I would say the third hardest is Wisconsin, where it's basically the Big Ten side of the bracket. So you have Wisconsin as that number 1 seed, and you have Oregon all the way down below, 2 teams that will very much likely make it to at least a Sweet 16, if not the Elite 8. And then you have a chunk in the middle. You got Penn State, who could upset Kansas, probably likely to upset Kansas. And then we get a Purdue Marquette rematch potentially to go to the Sweet 16, which would be really fun. Those two faced earlier this season, and Purdue 1-5. I would say the hardest squad is probably Pitt's. And now that always kind of happens with that like 2-3 seed where you have Pitt bottom right. And then we got Louisville in the upper left of that, which will be pretty fun. We'll probably see them face off for an Elite 8 match, but I think there's a lot of teams in here that make it really tough to get out of. You have an 8 seed like USC who's playing really well, and Skylar Field's probably the best outside in the country when she's full go and she's healthy. So they look, they're an 8 seed, but they'll probably face Pitt to go to the Sweet 16. And I'm not saying they're going to get the upset, but they're a team that could easily upset some of those top teams. And then you look at a team like Minnesota. They're red hot right now. They have some of the best players in the country. One of the best liberos with Kylie Murr, one of the best outsides who's heating up with Taylor Landfair, the reigning Big Ten player of the year. They'll take on a Creighton team who's a 3 seed in this tournament. They got Norris, one of the best outsides, Kendra Waite, an incredible setter. So you could see an upset there. I think there's just a lot of teams in this quad that could potentially get out. A team like Washington State, we've seen them upset upper teams, some of the top teams this season. A team like Dayton, I think they've won 23 games in a row or something. And I know they're, not playing the toughest competition, but it's tough to win any game, let alone, 23 in a row. And then Pepperdine, I think a lot of people sleep on that team. They get Dayton right away. So that's a potential for an upset. But I just think this bottom left is going to be really hard to get out of because every single round for some of these teams, it's going to be really tough.
Yeah, very interesting. It's really interesting to see what the committee does and how they match teams up, because it's like you're putting the 1 and the 2 seed, both the ACC teams in that bottom quadrant, and it's just interesting to see. And then Nebraska always gets love from the committee, as you mentioned.
Well, I think
they always get love.
It's interesting too, because I actually talked to the committee chair last night and I asked her about for example, we got 4 SEC teams in Nebraska's quadrant. There's 3 in the upper right in Wisconsin's. And I asked her, like, is this something you can avoid? Because, you know, they have to go regionally for some of these matchups, and like whether they're in a 1 flight distance or driving distance and all these things. And the way that they seed, so seeds 1 through 4 are automatically placed in. So like you can't touch where those teams are going. You could have a team from Florida playing all the way on the West Coast. But once you get from 16 all the way down to 64, they're just placed regionally. So yeah, there's a lot of matchups that we could have avoided. For example, Penn State and Dayton could have easily flipped, and you could have avoided, you know, 3 Big Ten teams in the upper right and all of that. So honestly, like, sometimes it doesn't make a lot of sense, but I do know there's some matchups, for example, like the upper left, where you do have those 4 SEC teams. Those teams are seated high enough to where a lot of them you couldn't necessarily have avoided, which I don't know, not my job, but their job is definitely tough. But I think a lot of those could have been avoided.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely brings in some kind of the rivalry aspect, you know, like Pitt and Louisville and Wisconsin and Nebraska, like those teams. Well, Wisconsin, they're not on the same side, but bringing in those rivalries is sometimes really something that I at least, I don't know, but I think the committee kind of takes into account. And
and on that note, real quick, I think too, like, yeah, you could have flipped Dayton and Penn State, but like I would way rather see a Wisconsin Penn State matchup than a Wisconsin Dayton matchup. So I do get it. Like maybe you want to have some interest in those early rounds too.
Definitely. So you mentioned some teams that are going to be tough to beat. What are some upsets you can see early on that you think, oh, like I could see this happening, or upsets later on? Just take me through some of the upsets that you think could be in play here.
Yeah, so I think it's tough to like project too far out. So I'll think like maybe first or second round here. But if maybe let's go by quad. So we'll start up at Nebraska. So that top left side of the bracket, I think one to definitely look out for is Georgia Tech over Florida. Now, Florida got that 4 seed over Georgia Tech, which means they got to host through the first weekend. So those first 2 rounds. And if I'm Georgia Tech, like I'm pretty pissed about that. You know, they're going to have to go to Florida and play them there when they feel like they should have been at home. I also think in my mind, Georgia Tech is the better team right now. Florida played really well early on before their setter. I think she like tore basically everything in her knee, has been out basically since conference play started. So the Florida team, to me, that deserved that 4 seed is not the Florida team that we're seeing out on the court right now. So I think Georgia Tech is a team that could upset Florida. And then I think Florida State got a tough draw up there with TCU to start out. Florida State ended up winning the ACC. They did really well during conference play. TCU is not a team to sleep on, though. I think that could be one just to look at and one to maybe not be that surprised for. Let's go to the bottom left. This is basically Pitt's section of the bracket. This is where a lot of upsets could happen. So, for example, Minnesota, who, you know, is one of the last teams in just based on their RPI, they're 16-12. You might look at that and say, oh, they're maybe not a good team. They have pieces to really do some damage, and they're playing really well right now. They're probably going to face Creighton to go to the Sweet 16. This is a team that I think could beat Creighton. Now, Creighton's a really good team. They beat Minnesota in 5 earlier this season, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Minnesota take down Creighton in that sense. And then you got Pepperdine potentially over Dayton in that first round, which could be really fun. Again, Dayton's red hot, but I think Pepperdine has the pieces to potentially pull off an upset or two. Another one that's like maybe unlikely, but could happen to go to the Sweet 16. USC, again, they've got one of the best outsides in the country, and I could see them testing Pitt, maybe not getting out of it, but that could be a game that I wouldn't be super surprised to see USC come out of. For Stanford's side, there's a few, I think, you know, you look at Texas's side, they're going to get through pretty easily. Stanford probably will get through easily. UCSB and Houston could be a really fun game. UCSB, you know, they were kind of one of the last teams in based on their RPI, but they're a really good team. They've only lost 4 games this season. Houston's been kind of up and down. Playing the Big 12 is really tough for them. But I could see them upsetting Houston in that round. And then I could see Georgia going really far. To me, Georgia's the number 1 team that you do not want to play right now. They have the SEC player of the year with Sophie Fisher. She's a middle who basically plays like 4.5 rotations. Like she plays in the back row. She's that good. They play Arizona State in the first round. Arizona State's upset some of the top teams, but I think Georgia might get out of that, and then they could face BYU. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised to see Georgia upset BYU either. One other one in that quad, Western Kentucky and Tennessee will likely meet, and I think it's going to be a really good game. I wouldn't be surprised to see Western come out of that. They're pretty low seeded based on their RPI, but they're a team that I think could hang with some of those other top teams in the country. And then last quadrant, Wisconsin's quad. I think I would likely expect a Penn State over Kansas upset, another 4v5 matchup. And then another one that I'm looking at is Marquette over Purdue. Purdue beat Marquette in 5 earlier this season, but I mean, I'm psyched to see them probably match up again to head to the Sweet 16. And Purdue's been kind of up and down this season. We saw them take down Wisconsin a few weeks ago. Marquette's been sort of up and down, but finished the season pretty decently strong. So that could be a fun one. But I will say, like, teams that you just absolutely don't want to play right now: Minnesota, Georgia, USC, and then honestly, all of the 5 seeds. So Georgia Tech, Penn State, Arizona State, and Dayton. I think those 5 seeds are teams that I wouldn't be surprised to see get through the Sweet 16 and into the Elite 8.
Yeah, it's always so interesting. Like you mentioned Minnesota, and it's like they're a totally different team than they were early on in the season.
Yeah.
And you're playing against the best competition in the Big Ten. And it's just like, okay, like how are these conferences going to line up? It's always so crazy to see what conferences kind of are still there at the end. And because these teams aren't playing out of conference towards the end of the season, and they're just totally different teams than they were when they were. So it's just interesting to see that.
Well, this is when we see kind of the strength of conferences come out. Like, yeah, you see a conference like the SEC getting 8 teams in, but how many of those teams can realistically make a Sweet 16? You know, I don't know. Whereas, you know, you look at a conference like the Big Ten or maybe even ACC, who got 5 teams in, probably more likely to get more teams into that Sweet 16 because the upper half of the conference is just probably that much better than some of these others.
Yeah, definitely. And it's so important to kind of click at the right time. And I know like Nebraska a couple of years ago made a run when nobody thought they were, and you just clicking at the right time in volleyball. And that's what's so important.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, a team like Kentucky, I know they're a 2 seed, so they're obviously a very good team, but I think that potential Nebraska-Kentucky rematch to go to the Final Four could be a very good game. And I know Nebraska beat them earlier this season, but this is a completely different Kentucky team than what we saw. I think they've won like, I don't know, 14, 15 matches in a row. They're absolutely rolling. So that could be a fun one on Nebraska's home court.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so we're looking at March Madness in college basketball here. And you're getting a lot of first weekend upsets. Like a lot of 15s can come out there to win. Even last year, a 16 won. Why are we not seeing that as much in the women's college volleyball game?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think there's a lot more parity in men's basketball, and part of that is just because, you know, it's been around for so long. A lot of these like mid-major programs that aren't necessarily great in other sports are really good at basketball because basketball has been a staple at them for so many years. In volleyball, we're seeing more parity over the seasons. You know, we're seeing more upsets happen every year because parity is getting a little bit better. But I still think we're not at that level of a men's basketball, even a women's basketball in that sense. Like there's still teams that make the tournament that you automatically know will probably never beat one of those 1 seeds, maybe even a 2, 3, or 4 seed, but they get in. Now, I think what we have seen though is more parity, especially this season. For example, we saw 4 Sun Belt teams get bids. You know, that's a conference that hasn't even had one at-large bid since 2011. This year they had 3 different ones. So we're seeing more parity throughout the board, you know, top to bottom, but we're just not seeing as much as some of these other sports that, you know, get a lot of investment and have a lot more hype around them. I think we're getting there, even just within conferences. I think we're seeing the bottom of a lot of these Power 5 conferences, you know, elevate and get better. Whereas, you know, in college basketball, they've already been there for a lot of years and you see more upsets happen. Again, we're seeing more parity in college volleyball, but it's not at the caliber that we see from a sport like men's basketball.
Yeah, definitely. You kind of mentioned some of these lower conference teams getting in. I know a lot of conferences have kind of implemented an end of the year tournament too, which is interesting to see and gives people a chance to kind of play postseason before the NCAA tournament.
For sure. And that's when you see bid steals happen. Like, for example, in the Sun Belt, Coastal Carolina stole one from James Madison. And then all of a sudden that shakes up everything. And then you have, you know, James Madison getting in, you have Coastal getting in, South Alabama and Texas State from the Sun Belt. So it's like these conference tournaments kind of shake things up. And, you know, at the end of the day, when one of those conference tournaments upsets happen, that steals a bid from some of these other teams, which makes it exciting. But also, you know, sometimes you see that level of play drop when some of these teams that maybe from the eyeball test maybe couldn't hang with some of these teams that didn't make it in, but they automatically have to get in.
Yeah, and even look at a team like Hawaii, they were a bubble team and they came in and Santa Barbara who hadn't really lost all year, ended up losing in the semis of the Big West, and Hawaii gets in for like, I think it was like the 40th year in a row that they've gotten in,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
absolutely nuts.
No, it's awesome. I mean, it's fun to see these bid steals happen because that's why they play the conference tournament. That's why they don't have just the outright winner, because it's tough to win in a conference setting. You know, you have to string together multiple games in a row, a lot of times like day after day with a quick turnaround. So it's fun to see some of these other teams that won their conference that maybe shouldn't have get in.
Yeah, it kind of shows what teams like, all right, it's truly win or go home. We're not making a tournament unless we win this game.
Yeah.
It shows who the real gamers are out there.
Yeah, no, it's fun. It's an exciting time. And it also just makes the end of the regular season fun because you have all those conference tournaments going on of teams that maybe you hadn't watched or been able to watch all season. And then all of a sudden you're locked in rooting for a random Sun Belt school to win, it's always fun for us.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so lastly, your Final Four, pick your champion.
Oh, Final Four. Okay. I will go. Every year I do this, and every year I'm so boring with it, and I wish I wasn't, but automatically I'm definitely going to go Nebraska, Wisconsin. I'm also going to throw Stanford in there because I don't think Texas could beat a team like Stanford. We've seen Stanford waver at times, but bottom left, this is where it's tough. I eyeball test, I definitely think Louisville is a better team than Pitt, but Pitt always finds a way to get out of stuff. So I'm going to be Nebraska, Wisconsin, Stanford, and Louisville, which is not very fun. Champion, I will go Wisconsin.
The Badgers.
I think they are, to me, I've also seen them a lot this season. I mean, I've seen most of these teams live, but when Wisconsin's firing on all cylinders, I don't think there's a team that can even really hang with them. You have a 6'9" blocker up there, 6'7". Their average height in the front court is like 6'5". Like they're just massive. And now they also have the defense to back it up and are a really good out of system team. So I think if they're firing, I don't think there's a team that can necessarily touch them. We'll see though. I think all the volleyball fans would love a Nebraska-Wisconsin rematch. I think it gets us all juiced up. It's always fun to see teams meet up for a third time in the season. You talk to head coaches and you're like, oh, would you rather beat this team the first or second time you meet up? And they'll always tell you, we want to win the third time. The first and second don't really matter. What comes down is that third time you meet up, and whether it's early on in the tournament or in the national championship, that's the one that matters the most.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking on that, Nebraska, Wisconsin, like I think Nebraska, I don't know if they're happy they lost to Wisconsin, but I think that playing not for a perfect season is a weight off their shoulders, and they can kind of play freely. Like, all right, now let's just win one game at a time. We're not playing for the perfect season anymore.
Totally. And I like, even last week before the Wisconsin Nebraska game, we were talking to John Cook, and he was comparing it to their 2000 team, which was his first season there. And they went undefeated and went on to win the national championship. And he was talking about like how much weight it was on that team. And, especially for this team, he felt like it was really different because, one, they're so young, like they're all freshmen. You got 4 freshmen running the court at times. And yeah, it adds that pressure, but he also feels like they can switch that off really quickly. Whereas maybe that 2000 team he had couldn't necessarily do that. But also at the end of the day, like, do you want that much pressure on a bunch of freshmen taking swings in a Final Four? I wouldn't. I'm not that you're happy you lose any game, but I think pressure wise, now they can just focus on one thing at a time, like you said, rather than being like, okay, we have to have this conglomerate of a 20 or 34-0 season or whatever it is, because that pressure, I think, eats at you, especially when you're 18 years old.
Yeah, definitely. It's gonna be a fun tournament to watch, and I'm excited. Everyone's gonna get their popcorn ready for this one.
Yeah, I'm excited. It'll be fun.
Yeah, well, thanks, Emily. We really appreciate you hopping on with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So this is awesome.
All right, we are here joined by Lexi Rodriguez, the junior libero out of Sterling, Illinois, the 2021 National Freshman of the Year, first team All-American, the 2022 second team All-American, in high school, Gatorade Player of the Year in the state of Illinois, and her biggest award, the third-team academic All-American team.
Whoa,
Let's
that
go,
fires
Lexi.
me up. Wow.
Welcome,
That's gotta
Lexi.
make mom the proudest, though. Does that make your mom the proudest?
Probably, yeah.
Respect. Well, Lexi, we just want to say thank you again for joining us here. Congratulations, you guys are the 1 seed. That is super, super sick. Is it the first time you've been the 1 seed?
Since I've been here, yeah.
Respect. Oh, yeah, you guys have a big legacy to live up to. But
I know.
with that being said, one thing I'd like to kind of get from the athlete's mind is men's and women's volleyball is very different in terms of like scheduling and in terms of like the tournament's way bigger for you guys than it is for us. What is your Sunday hits, right? Your selection show hits. What happened? You play on Thursday or Friday? Sorry. Ooh,
Friday?
not prepared. Joe, mark that down. Mark her down for that. Not prepared. Not respecting the opponent.
Minus
five. Lexi Rodriguez. No.
I
But
Friday.
okay, perfect. So when Friday hits, what is your schedule leading up to that? Because you guys are home, so you guys. I mean, I guess you don't have much travel. I mean, any travel, to be honest. But what is your schedule?
Like this week.
Yeah.
So actually today they gave us the day off besides like
Ooh.
lifting. But yeah, so we got another day off, which is kind of nice just to chill before the tournament starts. And then we'll practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And I believe Thursday is when our timed practices start. So like NCAA comes and then like you only have like 90 minutes to practice, I think. And so that'll be Thursday, but Tuesday and Wednesday will be like longer practices.
What does a Lexi Rodriguez off day look like?
An off day?
Walk us through that.
Well, today I went and I lifted because we still had to do that. And then I got a massage.
Ooh.
And then I actually went and had like a laser hair removal appointment.
I thought you were going to say
And
laser
then-
tag. Oh, I was like, wow, my mind's somewhere else there. I was like, what?
And then I was just gonna do some Cyber Monday shopping and then hang out with my friends and chill.
Respect. I will say, I'm a libero as well. You have a way more productive off day than I do. My typical off day is some sort of challenge I like to get through. For example, I like to see how many bratwurst I can eat in one sitting, and that's pretty much my off day, and then I just lay for the rest of the day. So, respect to you, Lexi. Mad respect to you. With that being said, let's talk about a little about the play on the court here. As Jake lists off a very, very small amount of your awards, respectfully. How do you see yourself? Like what are the small things that people don't see on the court that you do to your plays? It can be fun. Like, for example, someone's like, okay, this is what they need here. Is there anything kind of like a little fun that you do on the court that in order to kind of keep a level head between your teammates or just kind of have fun?
I don't know necessarily if it's like fun. I have like handshakes with people or just like things that I'll always do or always say just to kind of lighten the mood. And I'm not a very serious person, especially when I play. So I feel like I'm just always like, talking about something completely unrelated to volleyball or like singing, dancing, whatever it is. But I just try and lighten the mood.
Or making TikToks.
Exactly. Yeah.
We like that.
I love.
We like that.
We like
that. And with that being said, I hate to bring it up. I apologize. You guys have had an amazing regular season. I know you know what I'm about to bring up. Obviously, the last game versus Wisconsin didn't go your way. Did you get any hate mail? I always like to ask that because me and my brother, we played at Hawaii, and we were fortunate to be on successful teams. And then one bad game goes wrong, and the Nebraska fan base is amazing. The Hawaii fan base is amazing. But you get those people maybe who aren't, like, maybe just watching it, like you see, and they're like, maybe you guys are too busy making TikToks and dancing and get ready with me. Do you ever get that at all or no?
Oh, yeah. All the time.
Respect. You ever responded
Yeah,
to
after that one, it was like, because I feel like we all posted TikToks, like, either the night before, like, the day of, we played, and then, like, after the game, and, like, on the bus, I, like, got back on my phone, and I was like, okay, actually, I'm not gonna look at those, like, because they were just so mean.
It's crazy.
This is our first game. We've lost all year,
and it was to like a ranked opponent, like a top 4 team. And yeah, everyone was just like, maybe if you guys were more focused, you would have beat them, or like this didn't age well and stuff like that.
Haterade, man. It will. You know what? Keep making the TikToks, and then it'll age well in the long run. So mad respect to you guys.
How on a sort of serious note, that's kind of what I do. Serious questions. How did Coach Cook address like you guys after the match, and then also from you personally, what do you feel like I guess the difference was between that match? Obviously, it's like there's always small things, but from your kind of viewpoint.
Well, first, Coach was very level-headed and actually was very chill, which I wasn't expecting because I've been on the other side when we've lost games and he has not reacted that way. But I feel like with how kind of young our team is, he knew that he couldn't just blow up and get mad, especially when we had to bounce back and play Minnesota the next day. And so he was super chill. He gave a lot of credit to Wisconsin because they had an amazing game, and then just said that we have some things we have to work on. They exposed a lot of stuff that we have to work on. And so, I mean, it was good. I think we all took it very well. And I mean, he had truth to what he was saying. So we all respected that. And then what was the other question? Sorry.
No, I was just saying from your viewpoint, like how you felt like the like differences, I guess from your position too, like what you felt the differences were with that match versus previous ones throughout the year.
I feel like that one, first, it was on the road, so it already makes it a little more difficult, but we have played in some crazy road environments. But I just felt like when it got down to those close games in like the first and second set, and we just weren't able to make those big points to kind of take the lead or to get a win in that first or second set. So I feel like that was kind of the difference maker, especially because all year we've always been able to convert those plays and then end up winning those close games by 2 points. So I feel like that was probably the biggest difference.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned you guys have a very young team. In no loss you're ever happy about, but like at a certain point you guys had the perfect season, you're going for the perfect season, like young team kind of figuring out how to be resilient. Like, is it kind of like a weight off your shoulders to not have that perfect season in the air behind your head anymore?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. And we kind of talked about it actually like a week and a half ago. Just we hadn't talked about it up until then, about how we haven't lost, we're undefeated. We were just kind of taking it game by game, but then it was getting closer to the end of the season and the pressure was just kind of building up every game that we played. And so as a team and like the coaching staff, we talked about it and how it's a privilege to have that pressure, but it's also something that is going to add like a lot of stress to us. So we had to like kind of talk about it, but at the end of the day, like it's better to lose now than any time after now. So, I mean, I think it definitely is a weight lifted off our shoulders.
Definitely.
Got you. And you hope to see him in the wait. You guys are on the opposite side of the bracket. Gosh darn! I usually have a bracket.
You could see him in the
here.
finals.
Yeah. you see him in the finals, yeah. Respect.
yeah.
Would you say that
Are they circled?
Or what?
Or Jake,
Sorry, Gage.
he has to be
You got
circled. Like, are they circled? Like, as like, oh, we want to face them in the finals. Now, obviously, you want to make the finals. I understand. You want to focus game by game. You want to see whoever's in play. You want to be whoever's in front of you. Exact right mindset. But would it be sweet if Wisconsin was in the finals with you?
Yeah. I mean,
Respect.
I played them my freshman year in the finals and they beat us. And so it would be nice to get a rematch at that. And I always love Big Ten. I think it's pretty cool for our conference and for the sport. So
Best conference in volleyball, baby. It might be all sports pretty soon here.
I know.
This is our last question. We're going to let you go, Lexi, here. One more question here. Talked about, two more questions, actually. First of all, first question is, what is your perfect game day meal or beverages of choice?
with beverages
I mean,
of choice.
I mean like coffee and stuff. By the way, I just want to clarify that I'm not or whatever. But if you have other routines, by all means, let me hear them.
Perfect food would probably be white rice with salmon.
Ooh. Wait, do you add seasoning? What seasoning do you use on the salmon? You can't say none. You don't
Okay,
use.
No,
Well, she could drench it in sauce. You never know.
No, I use seasoning, but I'm usually they have like our meals for us.
Okay.
So I'm going off like what they choose. But I would
Respect.
do white rice with salmon, broccoli. Got to get those greens. Then I would do some fruit and probably like strawberries, blueberries, and raspberries. And then I always eat pudding, chocolate pudding before every game. So I would need a pudding and then a coffee from Starbucks.
Vente, what are the sizes again?
Grande.
Grande.
Trendy.
Just going on the sidelines and then going back in the game in the middle. Kind of That'd be awesome. And then last question here. I asked about people DMing you. Did we have people coming up to you? This is a problem that I have that I need your help on here. And I'm sure you've getting way more than I have. Where people either DM you, contact you, talk to you in person. They're like, hey, how do I be good at serve receive? Or hey, how do I be good at defense? Do you get that a lot? Just like the most generic question, and you're like, it's just like we all get it as like athletes and whatnot. What is your go-to response usually to that? You're like, well, like because you can't fix it like fix my life in one sentence. Go. What are you gonna do with that?
Yeah. Well, usually it's like on like DMs or like messages. It's usually like a long like paragraph, and then like in there there'll be like, give me tips on serve receive, and so like I feel like I'm always like, oh, like thank you so much for reaching out, and like I wish you the best of luck in your like future, and then I feel like I just give them like two very like basic tips.
Pass more balls.
You're a better person than I am. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, like if it's serve receive, I'll just be like, make sure you like track the ball off the server's hand and like get your platform out early.
Just try and put that ball where the setter is, right where they're
Just
standing.
pass the ball fine. Just pass it up in the air. It'll go. Just pass it.
Sometimes I give them just wild advice, and I mean wild. I say something. We had this. Oh, I have a shirt about it actually. We had this wild trend called the butt. We did a butt dig. I don't know if you're familiar with it. And I just say, yeah, just try and get your butt digs up. But that's only in person. That's when I can actually afterwards then actually give him some stuff. But sometimes
I do that on the phone.
wait, what did you say?
I thought you were giving those responses like on Instagram.
No. On Instagram, the haters, what I do with the Instagram haters, I serenade them. I show them love. I send an audio message. It's about 30 seconds long, and I just say, or I either sing to them, or I say, hey, man, blah, blah. You need a hug. What's wrong? Talk to me. It's usually the problem's not about me. It's from within. Talk to me, man. Talk to me, Michael, or whatever his name is. You know what I'm saying? Just try it out. You never know. I love doing it. Just give it a shot. But with that, Lexi, we're going to let you go here. You've been a phenomenal guest for these last 10 minutes. We are so joyous to get some of your time here. We wish you the best of luck here. And GBR, baby. Jake, fire up with a GBR.
Woo! Go Big Red, baby.
Lexi.
Well, and everyone is healthy. Stanford came in leading the country in hitting percentage, only 3 hitting errors, 44 total attacks. Stanford reels off 9 points in a row
And brings it night after night. A very powerful offense.
30 swings without an attack error. Came into this segment of the conference.
All right, we want to welcome Kendall Kipp here. We got a 2019 NCAA champion out of Stanford, 2022 ACVA First Team All-American, ACVA Pacific North Player of the Year, and Pac-12 Player of the Year. Kendall, how you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. How are you?
We're doing good here, all in different time zones, but we're having a good time. So initial reaction from you from the bracket. You guys are the 1 seed. Kind of take me through your initial reaction to seeing the bracket, who you got up against you, and yep.
Yeah, we're stoked about it. I think, kind of expected it based off of the rankings so far, but we were still really excited to see that we got the 2 seed and we're feeling good about our bracket. I think we're trying to just take it one match at a time and not look ahead too much. So we're just focused on Friday's match against Fresno, but we're super excited.
I just out of
In-state
curiosity, just out of curiosity, what is the lowest ranked you guys you've been? This is your 5th year. This is your 5th time going to this tournament, right? What's the lowest ranked you've been in going to this tournament?
I think I can't remember. I mean, my sophomore year during COVID, we didn't even make the tournament, so I guess that would be the lowest.
That's a good point, actually.
And then my junior year, I don't even remember what we were ranked, but not very high. But then the last 2 years, and then my freshman year, I think we were a 1 seed.
Got you. And then so today, for you, today it's still Monday over there, or is it till Sunday over there?
It's Sunday, Gage.
Okay, Sunday. I apologize. Sorry, it's Sunday, and you play Thursday. Am I correct? If I'm looking at the schedule correctly.
Friday, I think.
Friday. So what is your schedule up until this point? So luckily you host. So what is it? What is it? You have a couple days here. What does the schedule look like? As soon as you see, bam, Stanford is playing blank at home. What is the schedule until game day?
We had yesterday and today off, which is the first time we've had like 2 off days in a row. But then we'll start practicing tomorrow, and we just lift and practice every day, kind of the same as usual, and then play on Friday and Saturday if we win.
Ooh, yeah.
When will you win?
Yeah, when we win.
Versus Houston. Versus winner of Houston. I'm looking at the bracket right now. Houston. No.
Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara.
Santa Barbara and Houston. That could be good. Hey,
My sister played volleyball at Santa Barbara, so it would be fun to play them.
Ooh, a little rivalry. I like that.
Wait, she's there right now?
Or she'd be like,
Yeah, I think she'd be rooting for me.
all right, good. And then, out of curiosity, how well do you know Fresno State? If I were to quiz you on Fresno State, on just the school, how well do you think you'd know it?
I don't think I know anything about this.
Let me ask you a few basic questions. Fresno State, what is the mascot of Fresno State?
Oh.
It's in the logo.
Like a dog or something?
It is a dog.
Yeah.
Type of dog. Specific type of dog. You say bulldog? Is that what you said? I can't. Sorry.
That's what I said. Yeah, I don't know.
Correctamundo, bulldog. All right. I was gonna say. I was like, we don't want to make you look bad, but we want to make sure you respect your opponents.
Yeah.
Kipp, Stanford,
Most important information.
Yeah, but I will my diligence this week.
Perfect. Is there anything that you look into, like that you're like, Kendall Kipp does things a little differently? She does. She looks into the nooks and crannies, or do you just are you? Oh, sorry. Let me cut you off.
So what were you saying?
No, is there anything that you kind of look into that maybe like, whoa, going
scouting?
above and beyond? Yeah, for scouting. Yeah.
I'd say I scout pretty basic, but I'm very meticulous about how I do it. Like I have a certain order. I go through and watch each hitter individually and just like section off their hits, and then I'll watch a full match. And then I have like a certain order that I do it, but nothing crazy.
What about anything personal though? Like a lot of football players, their wide receivers, the defensive backs, they'll figure out who their girlfriend is. Like, is there any of that action for you? Like anything psychological, anything off the court that you're kind of looking at?
Not usually, but maybe I should look into it.
Some extra motivation.
I mean, gotta get into the heads of people.
No. All right. If we were situated, in this instance, unfortunately, like my brother and I are in Europe. Jake is in Cal Poly. So a lot of games are hard to watch for us.
Yeah.
If I were to go to you, Kendall, you have. I'm gonna give you about a minute or 2. It's up to you. You can
However
say
long you
any
want to take.
reason.
Give us a
however
resume.
long you want. Give us a reason on why Stanford women's volleyball this year will win the national championship.
Okay. Let's see.
It can be off the court as well too.
What'd you say?
It can be on and off the court. So any reason that you see fit.
On the court, I would say we've been through it all. Like we started off strong my freshman year with the national championship, but then we were really down in the dumps and just were awful. My sophomore year with COVID, didn't make the tournament. Won, I think, 2 games. And then, so we love a good comeback story. We like put in the work and rebuilt our team from kind of the ground up, and we just have a really good, hardworking group of girls, and we've put in so much time in the gym, and I think we're just really motivated, especially after last year's loss, not making it to the Final Four. That's been a huge motivating factor for us this year, and we've just been, I think, working way harder than I can imagine anyone else. I mean, everyone's putting in the work, but I really have a lot of faith in how hard we've worked. And we're all best friends and really close, which I think helps us on the court. And we're a really cool group of girls.
Respect. So you've been playing the long game is what you're telling us.
Yeah.
There we go. Smart play. Smart play.
Gotta play the long game. Always gotta play the long game.
Yeah.
Well, I think for the most part, that's it. Joe, you got anything else you want to ask or no?
No, I was just gonna ask the most important question. What's your pregame meal? I'm always interested in that when players eat before they play.
I switch it up. It kind of depends on the time of day, obviously, like what time we play. But I love breakfast for pregame meal. So if I'm eating anytime from like 2 or earlier for my pregame meal, I'll usually get some breakfast combo, like eggs, hash browns, bacon or sausage.
Hit Mickey D's.
McDanks.
No, I was kidding. No.
We've got like a sports cafe on campus that does a lot of our pregame meals. So
got you.
Shout out Jimmy V's. Yeah, I kind of mix it up though.
Joe
All right,
Joe was
I got
a believer.
a question for you.
All right, wait, I want to say something really quick. Joe was a believer
All right, you
in
got it,
he says that I don't know if he still does this, but he's like what he would do, I think this was like a year or two ago, he tested this out, where he would say, I want to stay hungry, that way I play hungry. And he wouldn't eat as much and he'd just be rabid on the court. Have you ever tested that theory out?
Yeah, I've had like the stomach flu. Like a couple
Flu game, Michael Jordan, Kendall, Kipp.
I woke up at like 4 a.m. throwing up with a stomach bug a couple weeks ago. Wasn't able to eat all day before the game, and I think I played pretty well, so maybe it worked.
I did that too. I did that 2 matches ago, so I understand how you. But I'm a libero though, so I don't have to jump and swing like you do. Jake, what was your question though before?
Okay, so in general, I know you said you're taking it one game at a time, but you're an athlete, you're a competitor. There's always a team or an individual player that you got circled saying, I want to take them down. Who is that for you in this tournament?
Mm-hmm. I don't know if I can say that.
Ooh, but someone is out there. Let the people know.
There is somebody out there. There's someone out there that you want to take down personal.
I don't have
no, she can't. But we can't get people in trouble. But there is.
I think I could guess
someone out
for
there.
Stanford.
All right. There's some that are always really fun to play, and I would be excited to knock out. But that's just the name of the game. So yeah.
Kendall, don't say anything. Joe, guess one team or player. Kendall, do not.
Well, within their part of the bracket, for sure will be Texas. Everybody wants to beat Texas just because of
defending champs.
But I think for Stanford, it's always Nebraska. Nebraska, Stanford always have like beef. Obviously, there's a rivalry, but there's always beef too between the two teams. I feel like that's just that vibe I get.
I mean, you guys got a lot of conference realignment in your side of the bracket. Is there anything where it's like you guys got SMU in your bracket? If you play them, it's kind of bragging rights to who's the newcomer of the ACC. You know, I mean, you're graduating, so you won't be able to play in the ACC, but it's got to be a little bit of that too. Conference realignment. Who's the king or the queen of conference realignment?
But also, do you? If like for example, a lot of time people in other conferences, I've heard both things. Like when it comes to Pac-12, are you trying to be like, do you really care how far the other Pac-12 teams go, or are you trying to be like, I get it, like, or do you want in a good way? You want them to go far or no?
Yeah, we always say back to pack. So like,
nice.
Obviously, we want to beat down on everyone in season, but then once it comes to postseason, we're rooting for everyone.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but they're traitors. I mean, I guess.
That's not their fault, though, Jake. They can't. That's the AD's fault. That's not the volleyball team's fault.
I don't know.
Well,
man.
that's awesome, Kendall.
Do well. Go out with a bang.
Well, it seems like you guys are. I mean, you guys are pretty. The Pac-12 is super stacked this year, so there's a high chance of that happening. So there's a lot of teams that can go far, including you guys. Kendall, we'll be watching you. We'll be
if you're in the Final Four, we're gonna send somebody to the Final Four. So
yeah. And we're gonna find out who the player and team was at the end of the road. We'll figure
at the end of it all, you're gonna
after you guys win.
Ask anyone on my team. I'm like the least problematic. I don't have beef. I'm
respect.
Just
respect. You just
that's just media trained answer.
Yeah, that's what someone.
Everybody has
That's what
beef.
someone. That's what someone who does have beef would say when someone asks that question.
No, I don't like when people don't like me. I don't like not liking people.
But okay, but
But you love beating down on people, though.
Jake. Jeez. But all right, but
Love
if someone
taking it
talks-
to him.
But if someone talks smack to you, does that fire you up at all or not really?
Yeah, it fires me up. I'll usually
Okay.
stay quiet, but it'll light a fire for sure.
Ooh, I like it. We'll be on the
Silent
lookout
but
for
deadly.
that. All right,
Okay.
Kendall, Kipp, we're gonna let you go here. We just want to say congratulations on the 2 seed, but the 1 seed, and your respective part of the bracket. Good luck for Fresno State Bulldogs. We'll be watching, and go get them. And that secret
Good
team
luck.
out there.
Take it to 'em.
Beware.
Take
Everyone
it to 'em.
Be on watch.
Execution like that brings you confidence as a team.
Bolsiger will see the point. Doesn't last. Growm sets the middle. Ituzzo dumped over by Growm. What a play.
Okay, our next guest, Emma Growm, volleyball show. We got a 5'9" setter from Kentucky, junior, 2022 SEC Player of the Year, first sophomore to win it since 2015. And this year, first team All SEC. Congratulations, Emma. But last year, also an ACVA second team All American award. Congratulations, Emma. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So you guys got the 2 seed in the bracket this year. How are you feeling about that?
We're excited. We're ready to get after it. I mean, we weren't 100% sure where we were going to end up, after the last week of play, but we're excited about the 2 seed, get to host the first round. That's always fun playing in front of BBN. So ready to get after it.
Baby. Okay, so you're a 2 seed, you're high up in the rankings. Pitch to the out of system fans, pitch to the NCAA fan base. Why are you winning the NCAA tournament championship here?
Oh, well, I mean, some people still talk about our start to the season. We didn't have the best start to the season, but we've worked really hard. We've had a 16-game win streak. We've been getting after it, improving a lot. If you've ever watched us, I think we're pretty fun to watch. We play with a lot of heart and joy, and we're just a fun group of people to be around and be on the court with. So I think we'll get after it and prove ourselves.
So resiliency is something that you guys do not lack in.
Correct.
Sweet. So are there any intangibles, anything off the court, anything that separates you from other teams here in the NCAA tournament?
Oof, I would say if you've ever been around our team, we have some really funny people on our team. I mean, we're just a bunch of goofballs, really. And I really think that translates to the court. Because if you watch us, we have a lot of fun when we're playing. And when we're playing like that, that's when we're at our best. So I'd really just say the personalities we have on this team, that's really what makes us who we are.
Is there any through the net trash talk that we all want to see through there with those big personalities?
There's definitely some. Sometimes we've gotten in a little trouble for that, but no, it's.
Have you gotten any yellow cards this year?
No, I have not. But there's definitely been some stare downs across the net at times.
Gotta look out for the Kentucky Wildcats getting some yellow cards here in the NCAA tournament, getting too competitive.
You never know. You really never know.
We'll look out for that. We'll look out for it. Okay, so you guys are the 2 seed, as I mentioned. Nebraska is the 1 seed. How do you feel about that? You guys got any personal rivalries against Nebraska?
I mean, we did play them earlier this year and we lost. So that's always some extra motivation. But I think we've grown a lot as a team since then. And I think we're ready to go after it again and try to prove ourselves and see what we can do. But we're excited.
Sweet. And is there any teams, any personal people that you want to see down the road? Anyone that you're like, you got them circled on the map? Any setters that have kind of gotten more recognition than you that you don't feel that they deserve it? Anyone that you want to see, any teams you want to see down the line?
Well, I mean, we're going to, if everything goes the way it's supposed to, we should run into a lot of SEC teams in the first part of the bracket. I mean, we have there's 4 in our court, like our little quadrant, and I was a little surprised about that. So I mean, we're gonna see familiar faces, and that's always, there's rivalries there. I mean, Florida's in our part of the bracket. That's always a big rivalry. So and Arkansas. So
and you got
exciting.
Missouri in there.
Yeah,
that'll be sweet. I mean, I
lots
don't
of
know,
familiar faces.
Yeah, one of the coaches of Missouri was a great setter a couple years ago, so I think you might have to stare her down a little bit, kind of see what she's all about.
Yeah.
Prove to her that you're the real deal.
I'll do that.
Well, if you do, I think she would really appreciate that. We would love to see that. But yeah, and final rounds. Anything else you want to say about why the Kentucky Wildcats are gonna be national champions?
Oof. I mean, we're just a bunch of hardworking girls. I mean, seriously, the work that this team has put in this year to get to where we are has been amazing. So I think it's translated over the past couple weeks, and I know we're going to continue to put in the work this week going into the first round, and I'm excited to see how we do, but I really think we can do well. So we're excited.
Awesome. Well, Emma, good luck to you. Good luck to your team. We really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Patterson serve. Panthers up 5. Big swing by Babcock from the back. And the kill by Babcock. Set up by Fairbank. Babcock swing. Back over. And Babcock finding space. Force shine. Babcock responds. Point pick.
All right, here we have Olivia Babcock. Welcome. We have a freshman right side from the great state of California. Freshman started every single match this year. She was the ACVA National Player of the Week, 5-time ACC Player of the Week, ACC Offensive Player of the Week, and an ACVA High School All-American. Welcome, Olivia.
Thank you.
Whoop, whoop. Thanks for coming on, Olivia.
Okay, so we've spoken to your coach, Kellen, on many occasions. What has Kellen taught you about Riz that you can kind of bring into this NCAA tournament?
Oh, God. I mean, he really talks about, like, confidence being a huge part of Riz. So I feel like if we go into the tournament confident, we really have a high chance of making a far run. Just, like, giving our opponents the respect they deserve, but also knowing who we are and what team, like, we can be. So,
Olivia, what are you looking forward to most? Because this is your, like, you are a freshman. This is your first tournament. Is there something that, one, you watched on TV or one you were kind of unsure about, or something you're just kind of finding out that you're excited about the tournament?
I mean, I'm kind of excited about all of it. I know, like, watching this on TV was, like, a huge deal to me. And then I was like, oh, my God, like, that's going to be me in a year. And then, like, I'm actually here. And being a #1 seed, too, like, I feel like that puts, like, it puts a lot of pressure on us. But I feel like it also, like, motivates us to really show what we can do. I'm just really excited overall. I'm a bit nervous because, you know, tournaments can really go any direction. But I think we got it if we just keep doing what we're doing.
Respect.
Yeah, so you kind of talked about being the 1 seed a little bit. You guys got good placement. But you guys did get placed in the same bracket as Louisville as the 2 seed, same as in your conference. How are you guys feeling about that? Kind of interesting they put 2 teams from the same conference as the 1 and 2 seed in the same side of the bracket.
Yeah, it was really interesting. I think we kind of expected it because they really love our rivalry. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, we're going to obviously plan for a big match against them, but again, the tournament could go either way, so we don't really know if we're playing them or not, and I have so much respect for that team that I know they're going to make it far, so we probably will play them, but I don't want to, like, just assume we will, but I think it'll be a good match because there was a lot of tension in the last one, so I know that by playing them again, there will just be a lot more tension because it's definitely for a bigger cause this time.
What I keep hearing, so we actually were able to talk to Anna DeBeer a little earlier, and she said the same thing. There was tension. What happened during that game? I'm just out of curiosity because I wasn't able to watch it. But what actually happened? That you can tell as a player. Trust me, I understand there are stuff that you're probably like, better probably leave this part out of there. But what in PG rating could you say what happened during that match?
There was just a lot of like staring down through the net, like just subtle comments towards each other. Like, it was just, like, I don't know. It was just a really fiery match. And, like, I feel like even the coaches, like, felt the tension between them. It was just after every play, like, one player on either side would just, like, make a face or, like, a confident reaction. But, like, I mean, it was fun. Don't get me wrong. But
Love that.
A lot of extracurriculars going on.
Yeah, it was just a lot of stuff going on, and I was kind of like, I'm a freshman. Why are you looking at me like that? It's just, but it was fun. So
they're going after the best. Well, let me ask you this: how do you respond? Like, what is your for example, what is your response if I'm a player on the other side and I stare you down? What is your response to that? Do you A, stare them down? B, just kind of look, let them all kind of confused? 3, try and hit the ball at them. What's your response to that usually?
I definitely go in order 2, 3, 1. No. 1, 3, 2.
Wait, what did I say?
I don't even remember what he said.
All right.
Sorry.
Confusing me now. I was like, oh god.
He said stare them down, look confused, or just hit the ball. First, I'll look confused because I didn't even realize they were looking at me, but everyone's like, Olivia, like, they're doing, like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what are you even talking about? Like, what? So at first, I looked confused. Then I started, like, hitting the ball harder. But then
So you look confused while hitting the ball. Look confused while hitting the ball, then stare.
No. I looked confused before when I found out, like, after they'd make a good play and they'd stare me down, then I'd look confused. And then the next play, I'd respond by hitting the ball hard. And then I would stare them down, you know.
Oh, I like that. And they stop.
Yeah.
Do they usually stop after that?
I actually kind of stopped focusing on it because I was just trying to win at that point. But I don't know if
True
they
competitor.
stopped. I don't think they did though. But
I like that. I know it's your first year, but do you care if like any other ACC tournaments? Like, all right, now if I put you on the spot, you don't want to think that. All right, that's a bad question. Actually, I was going to ask you if you cared about if ACC tournament teams go farther. If you say no, then you look like a bad guy. No, never mind. Don't worry about that.
I mean, I like it. I mean, it makes our conference look good. Like, I'm really happy that Miami made the tournament. Like, I'm really proud of them. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then, so I know we started the conversation with Riz. Well, the reason we bring up Riz, a little background for our listeners out there, we're so lucky to visit the University of Pitt and get to know the culture, get to know the team a little bit, although you guys were busy, so we kept away, just kind of did butt digs in the corner pretty much. And then we got to know the coaching staff as well. And Kellen, Coach Kellen is your assistant coach. We got to know really, really well. And a theme that he kept bringing up with your team is Riz, right? So has he mentioned tournament and Riz in the same sentence at all? Or is that like a past thing of the past kind of thing?
I think he has mentioned that in the past, and I'm sure he's probably going to mention it within the next few days.
He should.
But we've kind of been just focusing on conference now, so we haven't really mentioned.
Got you. All right, respect then. So we have one or two things before we kind of let you go here. First thing, kind of something out of the blue here. What is your go-to game day meal?
Well, we kind of like they give us food, so I don't really have a say. But I usually.
What's your favorite then?
I mean, I usually just eat the same thing. I'll eat like salmon, potatoes. I never eat the salad because I hate salad, so I just never eat it.
What?
Yeah, no, I
No
never
salad.
eat salad. No salad for me before a game. If there's like rice, like I'll have it. It really depends what I'm feeling in the day. But my main game day ritual is that I have to have a coffee before the pregame meal, during the pregame meal, and then I have to have a coffee that I have in the locker room and chug at 35.
You ever thought about taking like a booster, what's it called, caffeine before during the game? I started doing that, but I kind of calmed it down because I would get like too crazy out there.
Yeah, I've thought about it, but I think my caffeine levels would be a little too high if I did that.
Do you ever find it hard? Yeah, dude. Whenever I find I take too much, I don't drink coffee. But the one thing I do is I take what is booster again, Joe? What's the actual
like accelerate
pre-workout,
right?
Like
a little bit more than that. Yeah.
Do you? But you probably just take coffee. Do you ever feel like jittery after games? Like I can't sleep after games because I'm just like up at night, just like shaking still from the match.
Not after games. It usually wears off by then because I don't know. I feel like the workout kind of makes the caffeine go away. But during the game, I'll definitely be like a little jittery at times.
So I should probably see a doctor. Is what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Well, boys, do you guys have any other questions?
No, Olivia. Good luck. I expect you to be. They know already. They won't announce it for a while. National Freshman of the Year too. That should be you. That should be you in the bag. So, hopefully, this is we'll be the first people to congratulate you and give you.
I just want to be the first to congratulate you.
We just want to be the first to congratulate you. Congratulations, Olivia. You did it. You did what no one said you could. You came from the Sunshine State, And you brought it on.
Great state of
Thank you
California.
so much. You're welcome. We voted. It's all
Not the
don't worry
Sunshine
about it.
State.
You're welcome.
Yes.
That'd be Arizona. Golden State, same thing.
That's not
Whatever.
Arizona.
De Beer. Good start. There's another great thing. Scott. From set, they go to the Beer again. And Louisville goes up. The Beer ends it.
Welcome, Anna DeBeer, Louisville senior, 2022 NCAA All-Tournament Team, 2021 ACVA third-team All-American, 2021 first-team All-ACC, and 2020 ACC Freshman of the Year. Welcome, Anna.
Hi.
Woo woo! Thanks, Ann. Thanks for hopping on.
Thanks.
Well, first things first, congratulations on a successful year. Hopefully it goes to the last game possible here. We're rooting for you guys. Congrats on a successful selection show as well. You guys are the 2 seed on your side of the bracket. Very, very successful so far. But the question for you, I guess, is something that I'm curious. The selection show happened for you yesterday, right? And then you play this Thursday, the 30th, correct?
Yes.
And then, so what is your guys' schedule? You guys are playing at home, luckily.
Yes,
so what is
so-
your schedule? Selection show happens. What happens for Anna in Louisville?
So we have 2 games back to back that we're planning for. So Thursday and Friday are going to be at the Yum Center, which is our sold out or not sold out. We're trying to hit the record. So we've had 3 games in that arena this year. So hoping to continue to get more people in there. And we play Wright State first, and then the winner, I think it's Auburn and
Is it? I thought it.
Western Michigan, I think, maybe.
Western Michigan, Auburn, yeah.
So we'll prep for all 3 of those teams basically and kind of go from there.
Got you. And then in terms of, and then you play those 2 games at home, and then after that, let's start a little basic. My bad. Something we like to ask people is, what is your go-to game day meal usually in terms of like what you eat on the day of the match? A little out of left field there, but just out of curiosity.
I love just like the basic meal that we get. I think it's from Carrabba's. Like it's just a house salad, and then we'll get like a protein. So it's like chicken or like lasagna, and then sometimes there's like mashed potatoes and a veggie, and then there's bread, which we like to have at the end to carve up. So yeah, that's kind of like my go-to, and I always like to try to eat as much as I can because you like 4 hours before you play, so it's like crazy.
That's true. And then so for you, your style of play, very feisty, very ferocious, respectable. My brother and I and Jake are vertically challenged. So we are not the tallest people. So we commend your style of play. You may not be the tallest, but you are the mightiest. But so with that being said, is there ever, so for us, at least this is how my brother and Jake kind of operate here. It's like, we don't talk smack ever, right? We're naturally fiery people. But as soon as someone says something to you, I don't know, just something clicks. And is that the kind of same way for you, where it's like, okay, you want to kind of get it going? Is that the same way for you?
I've just never been the type to like talk anything or just like I'll get into it and I'll have like a serious face, and that's probably what you've seen me do is just like I get locked in. But I never really do that through the net. And then when someone does, it's just like it's something like fires me up because I'm like, I'm gonna stand up for my teammates. Like I'm not gonna say anything, but I'll just hit it harder. I'll do more. I'm like, it just like makes me play better. So it just kind of like fires me up in a way, and it just kind of, you don't want to really piss me off or it might
Respect.
Anna, I've seen you give like one of those like couple extra seconds stare over through the net every once in a while. I've seen that. So
I'll do a quick stare, but nothing like too serious.
What does a quick stare look like? It's like
sometimes I'm just seeing if the ball's in, so it looks like I'm staring.
Yeah, that's what they're all saying. That's what they're all saying.
It'll be like a 2 or 3 second, like, okay.
2 or 3 second across the net. Oh yeah, we're in it now. We're in it now, baby.
Do you ever like say you don't talk, but so one thing that I do is I yell when I hit. Like if someone doesn't call, there's something. Or like I'm not I never call anything. But if it's atrocious, if they're cheating and they don't call something, I get mad. If I swing, I yell as I swing. Are you kind of the same way? Because that way I'm not talking, but I'm sending a message at the same time.
That's good. I don't think I've done that. But like if there's a wrong call or like the refs don't call a touch, like that just builds my like energy and my fire. Like it just like makes me so mad. So it's not like directly at anyone. It's just like in the moment, I'm ready.
Gotcha.
Next point, like set me the ball.
And are you one of those hard high fivers? The more mad you get.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm like,
I get so into it. I'm like, sorry, I just slapped her like so hard.
oh, you just slap, and then I've been on the receiving end of those most of the time because as a libero, spread the love, spread the love, and they're usually the ones just coming and smacking my hand. I'm like, afterwards. But hey, whatever gets the hitters going, I respect that.
Mm-hmm.
So, is there? You don't have to say, and we are not a show that names names, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But is there someone particular, a couple players? That just something, fires you up a little, grinds your gears a little, gets you to that next level. You don't have to name a name, but are there people out there that just...
There definitely are. There's a few that we played this year that it's just like, oh, I would just love to beat them.
Ooh.
There's always someone circled on everyone's schedule. Always someone circled.
There's always just a good rivalry.
I like it. Well, speaking of rivalries, you guys in Pitt. You guys are in Pitt, same side of the bracket, 1 and 2 seed. Joe, they said what did it come down to in terms of the 1 and 2 seed?
No, yeah, we're in Europe, so I caught a glimpse of the selection show and seeing what they were speaking about when it came down to who gets the higher seed between you two. And I always think NCAA committee, there's no like 100% formula that they always use. So there's like couple the RPI, the head to head, obviously they had the recent win even though you dominated that match. I hope they give you conference player of the year. You for sure know already. I know that comes out and already, but I hope or at least your coach knows already, but
they probably already know, but we'll see.
But you were studying that match, but the past 10 matches between Pittsburgh and you guys, and then also just common opponents they looked at. So it was like this, and they could have gone either way. But I think when we were looking at that, obviously when you have that match, everybody talks about it. Like as an athlete, you hope to be in that type of match. Mm-hmm. What is your guys' kind of mentality to be able to make sure that you guys get another matchup with them at their place?
I honestly had no clue where they were going to put us. Like this year was one of those years where we didn't know if we were going to be one of those 1 seeds, so we didn't really know who they were going to put us with. But I honestly was super excited when they paired us on the same side as Pitt, just because we've already played them. Like I've been here for 4 years. It's kind of nice to have a common opponent, so you can kind of we already kind of know who they have. We've played them twice. It's just very familiar, and I think we did a really good job last time we played them. I think the scoring was we both scored 110 points. It was literally so even. It was just the way it fell at the very end. So, I mean, I feel confident in that. It's always going to be good. They're always going to play good. And, there was a little drama last time, so it's probably going to be intense. But I'm actually really excited for that. And, I mean, obviously looking ahead, we got to take it one game at a time. But that's definitely something that I'm got my eyes on again for that revenge.
Ooh. A few extra Anna de Beer, quick stare downs. You know what I'm saying? Quick.
There might be one that comes down that one.
Hey, I'll tell you what. I'll watch every single one of your games, and I'm gonna be watching if you get fired up and you yell it when you hit the ball. And I'm gonna say, you know what? That was me. So, but you don't have to do that.
Maybe I'll add that in these next few games.
I'm just saying it could give you 2 extra points that you need to get over the hump. That's all I'm gonna say. But I have a question about facing inter ACC teams in the tournament. Do you prefer facing non-conference teams in the tournament rather than facing conference teams in the tournament? Because for me, at least, there's this new energy. Like for example, it can be the top. Well, you guys are pretty much if not the top team. But if they're in different conferences, there's new energy to where you can there's I don't know, there's this newfound energy and confidence rather than it could be a lower team in your conference, but for some reason you struggle more versus that team. Are you someone who prefers to play non-conference in the tournament or conference?
I honestly don't think it really matters. I don't think I look at that too much. I mean, it's always nice, like I said, to play someone you've already kind of played, but that could be good or bad. I don't know, you've played each other before, you all know each other's tendencies. You can look at it both ways, but I don't really look too much into that. I just kind of think whoever it is, we're always a faceless opponent. No matter who we're playing, we need to come out and start strong. So I think I don't really look too far into that. I'm just kind of taking it game by game, day by day, and just prepping the best we can for whoever it is.
Respect. Mm-hmm. And boys, you got anything else?
Not today.
All right. Well, Anna, like you said, we want to keep it short for you. We know you have you have two very important things. One, you have the game, and two, well, a lot of games, and two, you have your ACC Player of the Year announcement coming up. We talked to the coach. It's a done deal. Don't worry about it. We voted. We put in the votes.
Done deal.
They pretty much asked us. They come to us directly. But congratulations on that in advance. You don't say thank you. I know you don't feel like you have won it yet. But we wish you the best of luck. Like I said, I will be looking and listening for the grunt while you're swinging, and I'll take full credit for that.
You can go back to your coach and say that it's a proven method of success.
But Anna, I'm gonna hold you to that though. I will hold you to that, and you'll hear from me if you don't. But wish you the best luck in the tournament. Have a great day, and thanks so much for hopping on. And just like that, just the three boys. I feel like after interviewing those girls, we're so much more knowledgeable about the game, so much more knowledgeable about the tournament. Our 13 and a half games feel now like a million games. I don't know about you guys.
Man, we have all the knowledge. We didn't need any more knowledge.
We had all the knowledge, and then we somehow gained more knowledge. So
it's lonely at the top, gentlemen. As the lead analysts, it is lonely at the top, and we are further in the lead than we ever could have before. But if you stick with us this long, just a reminder, although we're about to give our picks individually here, you can do yourself here with the Ad System Pick'em Challenge. Again, click the link below, or if you go to our Instagram, click the link in the bio, and you yourself can go and pick a winner. And again, if you win, you get a grand prize. 1, fame, glory. 2, or I guess 3, also all of our new merch. That includes the camo hoodie that I'm wearing, the Butt Dig t-shirt, the OOS College tee, the pajamas, and what am I missing? What else am I missing, Jake Joe?
University tee.
OOS to the moon, baby.
And of course the OOS to the moon shirt. It can all be a package, all for free, just for clicking who you think's gonna win. Easy as that. Now
it's really easy. You just click the logos.
Yeah, exactly. And if you don't want to do all that and you just want to get the merch, again, click the link in the bio. All there. Support the boys. We love you guys. And again, OOS to the moon. With that being said, Joe, let's get to your picks, man. Who do you have in the Final Four? Who do you have in the championship? And who do you have winning the championship?
Yeah, I got to be honest. Wasn't too, risky with some of my picks. I mean, some of them maybe, but my Final Four on one side, which I have to start by saying this. The left side of the bracket, the Nebraska and the Pittsburgh regionals are way more difficult than the other side of the bracket. I don't think if it's I think it's lopsided.
Not even close.
I think those sides are loaded, and maybe I'll be shut up by the end of this tournament. But initial reaction, left side of the bracket is significantly more difficult. But my Final Four, I have Nebraska and Pittsburgh coming out of the left side, the 2 1 seeds. Women's college volleyball, you just don't see that many upsets. Unfortunately, Gage and I were talking about this the other day, but I still see Pitt and Nebraska coming out of their side of the bracket. I think Kentucky and Louisville will give them a good run for their money, and it wouldn't shock me for any of them to get in, but home court advantage to me carries some weight. So they'll be hosting those regional finals. On the other side, I have Texas coming out of the Stanford bracket and Wisconsin. Again, Stanford, I don't know. I just don't believe it. They'll have to shut me up, but I still think Texas, even though they've had some bumps in the road this year, still have an experienced squad, experienced coaching staff. Wisconsin, man, they finally got Smrek back at the end of the season. I think they're going to be rocking and rolling. My national championship will be a Big Ten rematch. Nebraska-Wisconsin with Wisconsin coming out on top. Ooh. I just think on a neutral court, Nebraska with the freshmen and everything. I know. I might be eating my words by the end of the tournament, but freshmen on the court always concern me a little bit. Wisconsin has an experienced group. They're healthy now, and I see them coming out on top.
Not bad. Jake?
To go off of Joe here, we got a pretty similar Final Four. I have the Nebraska Cornhuskers coming out, Pittsburgh, Wisconsin, and then I do have Stanford coming out instead of Texas. I just think that everyone's gunning for Texas. They won it last year. if you're at the top, people want to get you. They're going to give you your best shot. And in my final, I have, same as Joe, Nebraska and Wisconsin. Big Ten showdown. You know, I honestly, to go with my champion, the Nebraska Cornhuskers, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I have coming out at the top. You know, we talked to Lexi Rodriguez. She says they're in good spirits after that Wisconsin loss. And, you know, they could just come back and take it. You know, freshmen on the court, yes and no, but they just lost to Wisconsin. They're hungry. They can show us they're a resilient team and, you know, come back and take this national championship. Coming back after 2 years, that final rematch, take the blood that they once should have had.
Respect, Jake. Thank you for the energy as well. Love that. I kind of mixed it up. The first two teams I'm about to name, not really big mixed up. Also, before I pick this, I want to give a shout out to Wolford Terriers, I believe they are, something like that, for the best name of the tournament. I went through all 64 teams, and Wolford, which thought their name was gonna be like the Wolford Furries or something. So I don't know if that's their mascot. Or
you know, that's not even how you pronounce it, right?
How do you say it?
Wofford.
Oh, even better. I'm sold. They should be my champions. Damn it. Those are my black. What are they? The black horse. There is that's called dark horse. There.
The dark horse.
Those are my dark horse.
The Cinderella story.
All right. So my two top teams here. First two teams. Nebraska, of course, power dominant team throughout this year.
Dude, people, it wouldn't shock me. Kentucky upsets them. I'll be honest. But yes,
you are the one that put them in your final, though.
So, the first team I have is Nebraska, versus I think Anna Beer actually convinced me that Louisville will get to the Final Four by her battle cry that I convinced her to do. I'll be watching out for that. I'm gonna hold her to it, and just her fierce competitiveness.
So is that pick dependent on if she doesn't do the battle cry, then you don't think they're gonna win?
Battle cry, no natty. You know what I'm saying?
But she gave us her word. She said she's gonna do it.
But if she doesn't, Gage, okay, that's fair. You say if she does, then okay, that's fair.
I literally gave her the keys to the castle. She can be king in the castle, but if she doesn't, but if she doesn't, then that. I've done my part. What can I do? Now this next team, I'm gonna mix you guys up with this. This next team has got that dog in them. I'll tell you what. It is not Wolford. I'm not them. But this next team that I picked is gonna surprise you. They've always had the dog in them, and it's a shock. And that is the Purdue Boilermakers. For some reason, their colors of the dark tan and the black, a little bit of white, just the grittiness. They always have a gritty team, and they always have like a medium, smaller outside that just goes up, jumps, and high and bang. And have I watched any of their games? No. Have I seen some of the clips buzzing around the internet? Yes. I am sold just by that. And just their energy.
Blue collar mascot.
Black Air Force energy. Huh?
Blue collar mascot, you know,
they got that grit in them. It's a train, Jake.
Yeah, you know who works on the Boilermaker train?
Well, yeah, conductor, but I just think of their logo. I'm just thinking of their logo, bro. I just think of their logo with the train. That's all I think about. And I have them playing Stanford. I think Stanford's going to get through. And I see Purdue Boilermakers make it all the way to the finals versus Louisville. But something about that war cry just convinces me that Louisville Cardinal will end up on top. Although I kind of want Purdue. I don't know. But Anna DeBeer, like I said, gave her the keys to the castle. We'll see if she does it. And just like that, the boys' picks are in. Again, if you want to be part of the action, if you want to give your own picks, again, click that link in the bio with the OOS Bracket Challenge, or go to our Instagram, click the link in bio there, be part of the Bracket Challenge. And again, it has to be before First Serve Thursday. We'll shut it down before then.
4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Thursday.
So by the time this comes out, you have very little time, but you have less than a day to get this out. But we also put it on our Instagram a little before, so it's on you to do it. Again, you can win the 6 merch. And again, if you just want to get the merch, go ahead and get the merch. Support the boys. And again, we just want to thank you guys. Hit that subscribe button. Comment anything we got wrong, or a few other guests. Maybe we'll do this further down the line, and maybe the Final Four will recap here and re-meet. Maybe get some of the Final Four contestees on the show as well. And just remember, guys, OOS to the moon.